everyone, hello and welcome back to the Football Rundown. We're back here with another match preview today as Stockport County take on Charlton Athletic back at Edgeley Park. Obviously County back at Edgeley Park this weekend after drawing away midweek at Northampton. County are unbeaten at home since their 2-1 loss to Mansfield on January the 4th. The Hatters have lost 3 times at home in the league all season. That's as many as the previous 2 seasons. The last time County lost more than 3 at home in the league was during Dave Challoner's first season, where we of course won the National League title. County recorded another draw midweek, that being our 10th of the season. We'll be looking to get back to winning ways against the Charlton side, but it sits just 2 points behind us with a game in hand. The Addicts have lost just 1 in the last 10 league matches, while picking up 1 draw and 8 wins in that time. Also as well, that 1 defeat came against Birmingham away at St Andrews, a 1-0 defeat, so you can't really knock them for that. You know, the sort of only defeat in the last 10 came against top of the league and at their home ground as well. Obviously the points were shared as well in the last meeting back in October. Louis Barry scored the only goal of the game for County that day, while Fraser Horsfall was also sent off for a second yellow late on, meaning he missed the next match against Northampton, who of course we have just played. I think it's going to be an interesting game against Charlton. I think, you know, we had to win the game against Northampton on Tuesday, really. I think that it's put us in a bit of a difficult position. It's put us in a pressure situation now, because if we don't win against Charlton, our position in the playoffs starts to look a little bit more precarious, shall we say. Even though there's still loads of time to turn around. After this game, we'll be into the final 10 games of the season for Stockport County. So it's getting to crunch time now for County. There's no doubt about that, and we've got to find a way to get a little bit more consistent results again. We've just been on a brilliant run, but then we lost to Cambridge. Then you get back to winning ways with a win against Blackpool at home, but then you sort of don't make the most of it against a team like Northampton, which, to be fair, we should really be winning. I don't think neither team played well in that game. I think Dave Challoner said after the game, I don't think any team could argue they should have won the game, and I think that's a fair assessment of it. Northampton were very, very poor, but so were County for 80 minutes of that game. Just going to sort of touch on that as well before we go a bit more into the Charlton preview. Obviously did the vlog on Tuesday night, as always, and a lot of work goes into it. You know, you're sort of doing the game, you're coming back, especially the away games, you come back late and then you sort of editing it, putting it together to get it out as soon as possible for everyone. And look, I'm very capable of taking criticism, especially when I think it's fair, and, you know, I'll be the first to sort of look at myself and say, should I have done something better there? But I was a bit disappointed with the reaction to the vlog on Tuesday night, to be honest, because obviously during the game, things didn't go our way. The referee, of course, wasn't brilliant. The free kick probably shouldn't have been given, which is where Northampton directly scored from that free kick. And Corey Adai sort of gets, it takes an awkward deflection. He sort of gets a hand to it last minute, but he's already going the other way, so it's kind of hard for him to get a strong enough hand behind it to stop it from going in. Now, when that happens, you sort of watch it in a moment. It's kind of hard to work out what's just happened. So I always like to sort of watch it back and think, could he have done better there? You know, my instinct was, no, he couldn't. It took an awful deflection. He was already going to the right-hand side. The deflection takes it back to the left, and he does well to get a hand to it. And to be fair, if he gets a hand to that and he stops it, we're all applauding that, and we're saying, how on earth has he saved that? So when you put it like that, he probably shouldn't have. He probably shouldn't have saved it, because I think that if he had saved it, the reaction would have been mega in that away end. So Corey Adai unlucky, in my opinion, with that one, to be honest. But based on the comment section on the video, because I titled it something about Benoni scoring, and then I put Adai disaster question mark, and everyone's gone in on the Adai disaster question mark point as if I've said that it was a disaster. I'm simply asking the question because some people around me were saying that it was his fault. So at no point, I'd love these people to sort of go through the video and find any point in the video when I've actually spoke negatively of Corey Adai and even spoke about the goal, because I didn't. I simply asked the question in the title for to get people's opinions. That's not me saying it was a disaster. That's not me even saying it wasn't a disaster. So I think people need to sort of understand how this works. How can people... I'll go through some of the comments. How can you put Adai disaster on the tagline? That is bang out of order. The free kick should never have been given in the first place. It was then smashed into the wall and took a deflection. He was going to his right and did well to get a hand to it, completely wrong-footed, and you say that is a disaster. Are you another one of those Adai haters then? I actually agree with what he's saying. The free kick probably shouldn't have been given, but I kind of hate going down that line because at the end of the day it was given, then you've got to deal with it. I agree with him, it was smashing toward, it did take a deflection. He was going to his right and did well to get a hand to it, I've already said that. And it was completely wrong-footed. I never said it was a disaster. Go back and watch it. I never even talked about Adai's performance in that game. As for you, another one of those Adai haters, well, mate, you've got to watch the channel. If you watch the channel over the last 9-10 months since he's come in, I've backed him. I've completely backed him to the point where some people have said I'm stupid because Hinchcliffe's far better. So I've taken a lot of flack for backing Adai. So to accuse me of being an Adai hater, clearly doesn't watch the channel, is what I would say to that. There's another one as well there. No need for the headline. Goal wasn't Curry's fault in the slightest. People like you are going to ruin this man's career for no reason. He's the reason we beat Blackpool and Wigan with his saves. I mean, again, people like you are the reason you're going to ruin this man's career for no reason. I've literally backed him. I've backed him all season. Never said it was his fault. Literally asked the question, because that's what we do. It's about conversation football. It's about opinion. And I'm willing to ask a question where people might give an opinion that isn't necessarily one I agree with, because that's what it's all about. He's the reason we beat Blackpool and Wigan with his saves. I've already acknowledged that. In fact, he probably made saves. I can't remember. Did he make a save potentially in this game as well at Northampton? He particularly did it at Blackpool. He made a big save after some people said he should have stopped the first one. I'm not one of them, but some people did. Fueling the fire with certain fans, no need for the headline, and the comments on your video when the goal goes in. So what he means by this is, when the goal goes in, there's people shouting abuse towards the goalkeeper. What am I meant to do about that? So, put people on mute. What am I meant to do if people around me shout abuse? There's not a lot I can do about that. Referee disaster should be the headline. Possibly that should have been the headline. But what I would say is, sometimes when you're picking titles, you don't always get the best ones. Maybe I shouldn't have put Adai disaster question mark, but at the end of the day, in the title I've acknowledged the goal we got and the goal we went, we sort of let in. I've tried to acknowledge both aspects of our game in that title. I've not said it was a disaster, so a bit annoying people taking it that way. Referee disaster probably should have been the headline. Fair enough, it's a fair point. Instead of singling out our players, you had a good enough view of the deflections and know he had no chance. Again, I'm not arguing with that. I never said that he should have saved it. I'd love people to go through the whole video and find even just one moment where I went in on Adai. I just think it's. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them because I'd be here all day. But yeah, it was just a bit disappointing that people can't really understand what I was doing with that. I was asking the question. I think it's important in football. We've all got opinions. There will be people who think he should have saved that. So that's why I asked the question. But anyway, hopefully everyone can sort of move past that. At the end of the day, as well, whether or not you rate a player or you don't rate a player, I've been critical of Wootton at times this season. It doesn't mean I hate Wootton. It doesn't mean I don't want him to do well. When those 11 players go on the pitch, irrespective of whether or not you rate the player, you think they should have been picked, you would have picked someone else. Once on that pitch, you fully back them and support them. And that's my view on it. I wouldn't sit here and say I don't want a player to do well. That's ridiculous. And obviously I want Adai to do well. I've backed him all season. It looks bad on him because he actually gets a hand to it. That's why it looks worse on his part. But yeah, it's taken an awful deflection. Had the deflection gone right across, sort of far post for him, it wouldn't have looked as bad. I think it's the fact the deflection is just beyond his reach, but it's still very close to him. It does make it look worse on his part. But of course, I don't think there's anything he could have done about that one. But anyway, moving on from Northampton. Great goal as well from Benoni Brecky Anderson yet again. Is he going to start? I guess we'll get into that in a short while. But Charlton, like I said, they'll be a tough test. They're in good form. They're scoring goals. They're conceding few as well. Charlton have scored 46 in the league this season. They've ranked 12th for goals scored, which actually sounds low, but it's not actually. There's not actually much in it from 13th to 4th in terms of goals scored in the league this season. They've conceded the third lowest in the league as well, with 31 goals conceded. They also have kept a lot of clean sheets, 15 this season. That's just 2 less than top of the league. Birmingham, I think County got 13 this season. Matty Godden is their top scorer with 10 in the league. I think he was their top scorer last time we played him as well. Although he's not scored in each of his last 4 matches. Incredibly, centre-back Macaulay Gillespie, I think it is, has scored in the previous 2 games for Charlton. So maybe he could be one to look out for in this game on Saturday. Alex Gilbert arrived during the winter window for Charlton from Championship side Middlesbrough. He's added 3 assists from 5 league matches so far, 2 of which came in a 2-1 win over Leyton Orient last weekend. So again, he could be one to keep an eye out for, for sort of our defenders as well. How do I think this game's going to go then? Obviously Charlton draw with them last time out. They're in good form. They're sort of making a sort of push for the playoffs. I mean, they're in the playoffs at the moment. How do I think this game's going to go? Like I say, I think County have got to win it. I think we've got a couple of games coming up. In fact, if we just have a look at the sort of next 5 league games for Stockport County, we've got Charlton at home, Bolton away, Wrexham away, Burton at home, Stevenage at home. There's some really tricky fixtures in there. The obvious ones are obviously Charlton, Bolton, Wrexham. But we know that Burton is scrapping at the bottom of the table as well. And look what happened at Cambridge a couple of weeks ago. There's some mega games, and I think these next 3 are, they're sort of the toughest teams you could ask to play against at this moment in time. Bolton have, sort of risen up the table since they made the managerial switch. Wrexham, of course, are Wrexham. We know what to expect from them. We don't have a great record at their race course either, so that's not going to be great. I think, if we can't win this one, I think we've got to avoid defeat in these next 3, and I think we've got to win at least 1 or 2 of them. I don't think we can afford to lose them. Particularly Wrexham, as much as we have that sort of rivalry in a sense, that's the one I can almost write off the most, because it's not about what's in front of us now, it's about the teams behind us. We cannot afford to let Charlton and Bolton and teams like that get momentum on us, especially when those teams may have a game in hand over us. So it's really important as well. You just have a quick look at the league table with where Stockport County are now. They've played 35 games, 61 points. You can see Charlton just, I said before, 2 points behind us with a game in hand. Okay, Huddersfield, they've played level games now. They're sort of 3 points behind us, but that can easily be made up as well. Bolton, a game in hand, they're 4 points off us. So Stockport County cannot allow these teams behind us to get momentum on us, already more momentum than they've already got. Of course, look at the bottom half of the table as well. You can see Burton in that final relegation spot as it stands at the moment. So they could be fighting, or probably will be fighting, to try and get points when we face them at the end of March as well. So some tough games for Stockport County, there's no doubt about that. I think one thing that's going to make it even more difficult potentially for Stockport County in these coming weeks as well is the potential loss of Ibi Toure and Benoni Brecky Anderson as well. Dave Chalner sort of alluded to it in his post-match at Northampton. Obviously, but Anderson not being potentially available, he might go to Iceland under 21s or something like that during the international break. Same with Ibi Toure as well. He goes to Gambia, I think, during the international break. So they're 2 potential big losses for us. So we're going to have to find ways around that. I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of a team, Chalner goes with over the next sort of couple of games. I mean, with the sort of potential loss of Toure, it wouldn't surprise me if he starts to face Rydell into the team more often. Of course, he did come into the team and got that brilliant cross into the box for the sort of equaliser late on against Northampton as well. Anderson's been mega for us in these last 2 games. I mean, we wouldn't have any points on the board if it wasn't for him in these last 2 games. So that's the difference between us, still being fourth in the table. He's going to be crucial. Again, 2 off the bench at Blackpool, a goal off the bench at Northampton. That's 3 goals in 2 games in the same week. It's inevitable that the questions are now going to be asked about Dave Chalner. Will he get that start on Saturday? Well, of course, he said that he's not ready for 90 minutes of football as it stands at the moment. That's a frustrating thing, isn't it? We've got a player there who's clearly got the talent, but Dave Chalner doesn't feel that he's quite got the match fitness, yet to be starting games of football. He maybe feels he can only play for one half, maybe 60 minutes at most. And if that's the case, do you want him starting the first 60 minutes and then coming off, or do you want him playing that final half an hour against tired defences? And at the moment, Chalner's opting for those final half an hour against tired defences, and it seems to be working. So that brings us brilliantly into the team news discussion. Of course, we'll now be talking about the predicted 11 of what I think Dave Chalner will go with. I think he'll stick with the 3-4-1-2 formation. Curry Adai, of course, in goal. I know there's some people who said he might be dropped, but I don't see that. To be honest, I don't think that would be the right decision at this point in time. I think he'll go with a back 3 of Hills, Connolly and Ethan Pye. I think he'll go with Rydell and Kyle Noyle as the 2 wing-backs. Norwood and Bate in midfield with Will Collar. And I think he'll go for Wootton and Tanto Alafi as the 2 strikers up front. This is the team I would go with. I would go with a 4-2-3-1 formation. Adai, of course, in goal. Noyle and Torre as the 2 full-backs. Connolly and Pye as the 2 centre-backs. Norwood and Bate in midfield with Fevrier on the right, Collar behind the striker, Tanto on the left and Benoni Brecky Anderson down the middle. That's what I would go with. But then again, if Dave Challoner's saying that he's not ready for 90 minutes of football, he won't start him. But my argument would be, surely he's better than what we're starting with at the moment. We've started Wootton, Tanto, we started Sam Cosgrove on Tuesday. None of them seem to really be having an impact in front of the goal. It's that man at the moment that's getting the goals, and if we want to have a positive start, I think you've got to start him. I think if we don't start him, he'll come off the bench, but I think that'll mean it'll be a poor 60, 70 minutes before he comes on, because that's been the case the last 2 games. We've played really poorly right up until he's come on, and then we've looked like a completely different team as soon as he comes on. That bit of spark, that bit of energy that he offers. The movement, that's a big thing that County are lacking at the moment. We seem to be really slow on the ball. We seem to not be making enough movement off the ball, getting into the right positions to help us move the ball further up the pitch. The big thing I'm sort of frustrated with at the moment is with the wing back system. I think that we've only really got one out wide, and I think there's no sort of wide support for that wing back there. So that's a big problem at the moment. I think if we had full backs and a winger on each side, you've got a lot more support down the flanks, and then therefore you're going to have more chance of getting a ball into the box. And if you've got someone like Benoni Brecky Anderson in the box, we've seen him get a couple of headers already. That's going to result in us being a bit more on the front foot and hopefully scoring more goals as well. So that's what I like to see us go with. That's what I think Dave Challoner will go with as well. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What team do you think we should go with? Benoni Brecky Anderson, Dave Challoner says he's not ready for 90 minutes of football yet. Would you start him or would you back what the manager's saying? I suppose you've kind of got to go with what the manager's saying. But who would you like to see start up front if it's not going to be Benoni Brecky Anderson? What are people's opinions on Adai as well? Some people feel he's been at fault for the previous 2 goals that have been let in the last week. That's not my opinion, but it's some people's opinions. So I want to get your opinions on that. Also as well, I won't be at the game on Saturday. I will be going live at 3 o'clock post-match if people want to get their thoughts in. And in fact, if people want to maybe come on as well live just for a couple of minutes, you can DM me on X and sort of see if you're interested in maybe giving your opinion post-match. I also want to say as well, if anyone wants to come on the podcast as well, you want to come on as a guest, again, DM me on X as well. Very happy to have people's opinions on this channel. And like I say, it's going to be a tough game. I think it's one we've got to win. I don't think there's any tough games for the teams around us either this week. So they're all games you'd expect them to get the wins in and continue that sort of pressure from behind us. So I think it's important we do get a result. Do I think we'll get the result? I think it's got a draw written over it for me. I think 1-1 will be the score. I could easily see Charlton winning it as well, just with how they are at the moment and how County are playing for the most part in games. It hasn't been good enough, but I'm going to go 1-1. In fact, I don't want to go 1-1. I think it could be 1-1, but I'm going to go with 2-1 County because I'm just being optimistic. But I think this game could go any way whatsoever. County have been so up and down at the moment. They can play really poorly for 70, 80 minutes and then just turn it on, and in that 10, 15 minutes that they turn it on, they look like they could score 2 or 3. So it's just very, very all over the place at the moment, County. I'd like to see us start well. I'd like to see us control a game of football from the get-go and see it out professionally, but I just don't think we'll have that game at Edgeley Park on Saturday. So I think we will score. I think both teams will score. It's just about who gets the decider, and hopefully it will be Stockport County. So that's my thoughts on the game. As I say, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like the video if you've enjoyed it. Do subscribe if you are new, and of course keep your eyes peeled for that live post-match at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So yeah, I think we covered everything there. So hope you've all enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.